I'm a coon hunter and an avid coon hunter and avid deer hunter. I'm 19, so basically I basically live in the middle of the Danny Boone National Forest here in London. Pretty much, I have two dogs, and they have tracking systems on them that pretty much helps me find them and let me know when they got a coon up in a tree or whatever. Well, I was walking them down this road, and it's by a creek, and coons use a lot of creeks and stuff, so I had let them go by the creek, and they took off out in front of me, and they had came back to me, and I thought that was kind of weird because they usually run a little bit before they come back to me, but I just didn't think really nothing of it. I walked on down towards the creek and let them go again, and they ran right up on the hill, and they's running around up the hill up there, and they started barking on track, which they usually do that when they find a coon. Well, I'd say it probably wasn't 25 seconds later, they got at about 300 yards away from me, and I heard something. I kid you not, it scared the life out of me. It really did. And like I said, I'm an avid deer hunter. I'm usually in the woods right before daylight and don't come out till after dark. I'm not scared to walk in the woods by myself, but that about shook me to my core. It really did.
What did it sound like?
Well, I've heard about everything in these woods. I've heard deer grunts. I've heard coyotes just bawling 100 yards away from me. I've heard, bears chopping at me. I've heard about everything there is to hear. But it went, wah! And as soon as I heard that, I turned my big bright light on, my coon hunting light, and I was just walking back up towards the truck, and I told my dogs to come on, and I was yelling at them. And so they kept on going, and I started yelling louder for them, and that's when it did it again. It went, rah! So that's just when I hurried back up to the truck, and as I was walking to the truck, I could hear something up above me. It sounded like it was walking up above me, probably 100 yards up the hill from me. But I know it wasn't my dogs because on my little handheld device, those trackers my dogs have on tells me exactly where they are within 10 feet. And it wasn't my dogs, so my dogs was still behind me 300 yards on the road. So it kind of scared me for sure.
You've hunted your entire life. It sounds like you knew right away this is something that was not normal.
Like I said, I've had bears growl at me, chop at me. I've had deer blow at me. I've had owls scream right above me in my tree stand right at the edge of daylight, and I've never heard nothing like this.
And you heard bobcat too, right?
Yeah, I've heard bobcats. Bobcats scream. They don't do whatever this did.
Yeah.
I've heard coyotes. I've heard everything. And what I took it as, it wasn't a surprise. I took it as more of a warning, like you don't belong here. You need to get away.
Yeah, it sounds more like a yell, like you yelled at your dog.
Yeah, that's what I took it as too. So I hurried as quick as I could out of there. And when I got back to the truck, there's something called a toner on the dog collar. It basically beeps and tells them to come back. I hit that as soon as I got back to the truck, and they came back. But yeah, it seems like as soon as my dogs got close to it, it was like, you need to get the hell away.
Yeah, you're lucky because some people have lost their dogs. Their dogs are dead. They're found dead.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to get my dogs back as quick as possible.
Glad they're safe. Glad you're safe.
And most usually, I've had my dogs bark at coyotes and stuff. Coyotes will run off. And owls and stuff, they don't sound like that. I know exactly. I can tell you what a hoot owl sounds like and a screech owl. I've heard them all. That nothing sounds like that. I can't explain what it was.
And you're saying this was about 300 yards per location?
It was. It was. You could tell it was far off, but it was still loud.
Yeah.
Like it was like a deep. It carried.
Yeah. We know we've got reports that area by London, Kentucky. I've documented reports down there. We had a presentation we did down there, and after the presentation, we took a group on a night investigation. I don't remember anything happening, but I did have a former sheriff deputy contact me, and he saw one during the daytime, not too far from London, Kentucky.
Yeah, this is it's smack dab middle of Daniel Boone National Forest. There's thousands and hundreds of thousands of acres, and nobody's houses.
Yeah.
And it just I don't know what it was, man, but I took it as it telling me to get the hell away, so that's what I did.
Yeah, that was smart.
You know, it don't take much to scare a dog, but I think they might have been a little scared by that too, not gonna lie.
I've talked to other coon hunters where their dogs would run right back in the box, and they would send them out again, and the dog would run right back in the box or run under the truck. And they said, this isn't like my dogs. They're not afraid of bears. They're not afraid of anything. And these dogs would come running back. One of those reports I took, he kept sending his dog out, and finally the dog went after something. And when the men walked up to this opening, they saw what looked like a Bigfoot walk across this field in the moonlight. He said that his dog beat them back to the truck.
Well, I tell you what, man. I came back and told my dad about it, and he tried to play it off as, oh, it was just an owl, or oh, it was, you scared because you was out there by yourself or whatever. He's had me. I'm 19 years old. He's had me out in the woods hunting by myself since I was 13, and I tried to even tell him, Dad, I've never heard anything like that in my life. So we went back there the day I made that post, and we was walking down that road, and it was a little windy that day, but there was a pine tree. It was about the size of your arm, had been pushed over into the road, and it was still green. Now, I don't know if that was something, or I don't know if that's the wind that did it, but, that kind of was like, whoa, dang.
Yeah, that's odd. If just one green pine tree is pushed over like that.
I've seen ice storms and snowstorms and stuff. They'll usually bend the limbs down on them and stuff. The ice and snow and stuff will, but I've never seen nothing do it like that.
Yeah, that's odd. Because like you said, a windstorm or ice storm, you have a bunch of trees down, not just one like that. Could be a wall, kind of blocking the path or marking its territory.
Yeah. What it is, it's an old dirt road that goes for miles and miles back through there and connects one forestry road to another forestry road. Like I told you, I was probably half a mile deep in there with my dogs, and like I said, when I heard it, I took it as it saying, I didn't belong there and I needed to just turn around and go away.
Yeah, it got its point across.
That's for sure, man. I'm telling you, it absolutely scared the crap out of me. You could even ask my father. I told my father I'm never going hunting there by myself again. I'm a good old country boy, and for me to be scared, I have my pistol on my side, and for me to still be scared, I don't know what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like it could be. Process of elimination, you eliminated every other animal out there. And
that's when I heard it, that's what I was doing in my mind. The first time it did it, I'm like, well, maybe it was just an owl or whatever. And then it did it again, even louder, and I'm like, okay, I just need to go back to the truck. So I was calling my dogs, and it did it again, because I was yelling. I guess it thought I was yelling at it, so it yelled even louder at me.
Oh. Wow.
It sounded like it was walking on the hill up above me as I was walking back to the truck. And I know it wasn't my dogs, because like I said, my dogs was way back behind me. And this thing wasn't but 100, 150 yards from me up on the hill.
So I wonder, I just thought of this. If your dogs were in one direction, was that the direction it yelled from where your dogs were?
No, on the tracker thing, I seen my dogs went up on the hill and they was curving back around the top of it. So basically, I had positioned myself to where I was pointing directly towards them, so I could track where they was going as far as that way. And way off, it was towards my right, way off from my right side, up on top of the ridge over there, is where I heard it. You know, my dogs was probably 100 yards, 75 yards away from it, and that's when it went rah.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't right where your dogs were. It was a different spot. And maybe
Yeah, it was almost like it could see or hear my dogs coming, so it was telling them to stay away.
Yeah. Did you notice on your tracker, did your dog stop moving when it yelled?
Yeah, they kind of stopped moving, but they kind of turned back towards me and walked, not walked, but, kind of trotted down the hill and around whatever that thing was.
Okay.
Like they ran around on the back side of it, and that's as I was walking towards the truck, so I think they might have pushed it. I don't think it might have been intentionally following me to make sure I left, I don't know, but it might have just been my dog spooked it up out of there and it was trying to just go too.
That's exciting. We'll be in touch and maybe we'll get out there soon.
Okay, thanks, brother.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good night.
You too.